I yawned, not because I was tired. Focusing on a painting will get boring after a while, even though they move around every now and then. I felt myself reminisce about everything. I did not remember my home anymore. I did not know what it looked like or where it was. I was unsure whether it was my own home, whether I shared it with other people or any of that. I had to have parents, grandparents. I had no idea if they missed me or not. I only remembered I was glad to get this job. Maybe I was even too eager to say yes to it. Maybe I was desperate. But I only remembered vague bubbles of what was once clear memories. It all felt hazy. I did not even remember how I got the clothes that I was wearing. Did I choose those bright yellows and the heavy golden shackles around my neck? I tried to shake them off, but somehow they appeared back to their original place. My thoughts were disturbed by a feeling. It happened quietly, as most things do here. Something pricked my ears. The faint sound of footsteps in the corridors. Not one, but several feet moved through the building, just beyond the door. I hesitated. The feeling of loneliness that had haunted me for so long was gone. But did I like this new feeling? Strange people roaming around, avoiding me. Underneath the door, a light shone. I used my short moment of looking away to watch the light being replaced by red cloth. Someone wearing red was walking around. Maybe they were the ones who would restock the food and drinks, but maybe they did other things too. Anything but cleaning, because the dust stayed put. The light moved on, but the sound of feet kept coming and going. I was certain someone was talking. Muffled voices of 2 or 3 maybe, speaking to each other just out of reach. The wind started howling and the voices stopped completely. And shortly after that, the footsteps faded away too. No one talked to me. There was no interaction. Why are they avoiding me, I thought. Is it because of the rules? It made me feel more lonely. It was the silence that made it worse. The quiet footsteps and the wind were the only things I sometimes could hear. The mystery visitors avoiding me turned my solitude into something heavy. I felt almost ashamed. Maybe I was the intruder of this place, but I shook the thoughts away. I could not lose this job. I needed to be here. After all, I did not remember my home anymore. I noticed the light dimming. A look at the candle shook me. The candle had burnt down to a useless puddle and the light was going out. When did that happen? How can a candle that burnt for weeks suddenly become a puddle? I looked around me. Someone had left me a new candle next to the old one. But how? I did not leave my post. I could not. How did that new candle get there without me noticing it? With the last bits of light, I took the new candle and looked around for anything to light it. There were no matches to be seen. I tried in vain to use the old flame to light the new candle, but the last light sputtered out and I was in complete darkness. I tried to feel around in the dark. With one hand around the candle, I used the other to investigate the table. My fingers felt the wood, the splinters, and the soft paper. Nothing else. What do I do now? I thought. Was I allowed to walk away? Could I walk away? I had no idea whether the woman in the painting was still there. I could not see anything. Carefully, I stood up and pushed the chair away from me. I took a deep breath. I was able to breathe still. Tentatively, I took a step in the direction of what I thought was the door. With every step, I waited. Would the head spinning come in now? Can I still breathe? I kept checking with every step, ready to move held back in case the consequences would attack me. I tried to put one hand against the wall. If I could find a window, I could at least see again. Or maybe in this case, one of those red-robed people would find me stumbling in the dark and help me for sure. This was a situation where they could help me, right? After a long time, longer than I wanted, I saw a change in the light. I moved closer and saw the square of the window. I was so happy I sped up. I wanted to get to the light as fast as I could, my bare feet stomping on the carpet, making the dust fly as high as my nose. Just as I reached the room, I felt my foot miss the floor. Not exactly missing the floor, but it did not make contact, which in turn made me fall over. I planted my face into the floor with a loud crack. I did not move for a while. The crack was a dangerous sound, like something was broken. I waited for the pain, slowly breathing in the dust. The pain could start at any moment. That crack had to be the sound of pain, but the pain did not come. Carefully, I lifted my head, expecting a sudden jolt of fire going through my brain. I broke my arm once. I was vaguely familiar with how much it could hurt, but there was nothing. The dust in my nose made me sneeze, hurting my throat in the process. My lips felt dry, and I tried to lick away the dust. I tasted something metallic. I sat up. Something near my knee was poking me. I trailed my fingers, feeling my right knee, felt the soft yellow fabric, the surface of my leg. The bone did not feel broken, and my knee, although it did hurt a bit, did not sting from my touch. Something else was there. I felt something smooth and curved, the size of a finger bone, under my knee on the ground. I have not seen any bones here before, I thought. I grabbed the object and stood up. I was very weary of any injuries. My knee did not hurt that much, not more than a bruise. Slightly limping and cursing my own clumsiness, I walked to the window. The carpet was dirtier than I expected, and my yellow pants were downright filthy. But there were no tears, and I did not see any blood. My arms were looking all right. I sighed. Better ask for an emergency kit to be in the resting room, I told myself. I said it out loud, but my voice sounded raspy and low. My hand moved by itself to the light of the window, and I saw what I had picked up. A clay pipe. A very tiny smoking pipe with only the mouthpiece broken off. It wasn't just small. It was perfect. Polished clay, thumb-sized carvings of tiny mushrooms circling the bowl. Whoever made it had fingers no bigger than matchsticks. Well, look at that. I looked around. I had found myself in the resting room. Where would this come from? I had never seen it before, and it was way too small for me or any human. I noticed the candle that I had dropped during my fall. The white wax was chipped, but most of the candle was intact. Next to the candle, underneath the table, I saw the lighter, a very old-fashioned one with a small flint stone. I might have seen it somewhere like a museum. The system was the same as those throwaways, though. Ah, nice. Just what I need. I picked it up and tried the lighter, and a bright yellow flame appeared. Hopefully this magical candle would be lighted by this. I grasped at the candle, my focus on the fire. This fire was warm. It was almost burning my hand. My hand grabbed air and my focus shifted. The candle was gone. I looked everywhere. The candle could not be far. I just had it in my hand. I saw it when I grabbed the lighter. I felt my breathing become heavier. My lungs began to sting in a familiar way. Carefully, I put the miniature clay pipe on the table. I grabbed a bottle, and strengthening my grip on the lighter, I walked into the pitch black of the hallway. Now I had a light. Even though this light did not reach far, the walk to the room with the painting should be easier. The closer I got to the painting, the better I could breathe again. Every step was deliberate. My dirty feet feeling every movement. My knee would have some new colors soon. I only had to turn the corner to get back to the room with the painting. The door was open. I saw a shimmer. I put my head into the door opening, looking around. The new candle lit up the room with its odd, cold glow. How did that get here? And how did it get lit? I took my finger off the button and the light of the lighter disappeared. The thing felt a bit useless now, but the idea of the candle going out again made me want to keep it close. I was relieved to see the candle lit again. I put the lighter next to it and looked a bit better at the painting. A quick look at the painting showed an almost empty canvas. Only a single windowsill without a view. The woman had gone somewhere else again. I sighed and felt my shoulders drop down, releasing the tension. Did she just leave? Or was she already gone while it was dark? I need to write it down. I grabbed a piece of blue paper and sat down. On the table, a little light purple piece of paper was waiting for me. The scrap was almost as big as the palm of my hand, in almost impossibly small handwriting I could read. We, the Ardemanian, are grateful for your gift. We consider it a fair deal. Our work deserves the right payment, and we will get what we are due. Please do not do it again. I frowned. Please do not do it again. What again? A vein in my head started to beat uncomfortably. My memory seemed to be turned on for this. A voice in my head told me the new name, Ardemanian. They were little men who lived in holes in the ground or in empty crawl spaces. They would wear green clothes and like to help fix what was broken. Stories of farmers having groups of Armamenites who would mend shoes, sharpen knives, and would help around the house were dying out, but were written down and passed down by families. An important element was the payment in all those stories. If you would not pay the Armenian, they would turn on you. If you would take their help for granted, the house would be cursed and they would break everything. How long ago were these creatures paid? It had been a long time ago since the state of the building was appalling. I read the tiny letter again. Grateful, I whispered. For what? What did they take? I never saw the lighter again. Chapter 4. Because the woman had left again to places nobody knew, I grabbed the new candle and got out of the chair. Maybe I should try to get some sleep again. It did not do much, but maybe the headache would go away without drinking the awful blue liquid. Because my memories were fired up suddenly, I wondered if I could remember more. There was not much that I could remember before I got this job, and to be frank, I expected to care more about this or be more curious. With how much I did not know anymore, I thought I would be the kind of person who would try to reconstruct every lost detail. I should be picking apart every bit that I had. I did in the past, but I was living in this building for so long that it did not bother me as much. Thinking too much and trying to remember by force gave me huge dizzy spells too. Like the blank spaces in my mind were a safety net from something I should not know. And the building was giving me shelter, food, and drink, even though I hated it, and I had a job that meant something. I just did not know what it meant. The only thing I really did not understand and did not like was the lack of interaction. Now I knew someone was living in the building as me. I heard the footsteps, I had seen red robes, and I got a letter from the creatures who called themselves the Ardemanian. But besides the one paper, I had no idea where they were, if I imagined it, or why no one was talking to me. This job was a very lonely one, and loneliness will turn the edges of your memories in strange ways. I kept the purple letter in a pocket in my pants, just to be sure I would not lose it. Were some of the few memories I can find in my brain real, or did I just make them up? Up until the time I am writing this, I do not know what year it is. I do not know what the world I am in is called and how I got here. What I do know is this. I was born in the late 20th century. I saw the roads get busier with cars, have people talking to mobile phones, and we had computers. I finally remember computers. They had green grass as the background of those screens. Where I lived, there was green grass everywhere. Flat as a pancake was the ground. All those things were not here. I had not seen one car, only people walking, and they were too far away to talk to. This building did not even have electricity. Never had, because there were only candles. But even the grass was not green. When I looked through the window, or at least the parts I could see through because of the frosted glass warped a lot, all the grass was blue, and very bright blue. Not the grayish blue you would find at places on Earth. The few trees I could see were a lot redder than on Earth, and the needles were bright pink or purple. The creatures I could see glimpses of moving around in the tall grass I did not recognize. I loved animals. I tried to learn everything about them, but these creatures looked weird. And the sky itself had a very green hue. It was a bit sickening every time I looked at the cloudless green up there, so I did not look at it that much. At night, the environment looked more recognizable, much kinder. When it got dark out, the outside was lit up with those little flames I noticed earlier. Whether they were fireflies or not, they did not come too near the building I was in. Another thing that was vividly in my mind were clouds and mist. I remembered so many days the ground was covered in fog. The fog would be so thick you could barely see your own hands. Those thick sheets of white and gray that had gotten many people lost within seconds. You could see them drift across fields and water from your home. Or maybe the fog had gotten a lot more there. A vague memory was yelling at me, but it sounded too far away. I was not sure. What I was absolutely sure about was the fact that clouds did not exist here. I had not seen the faintest hint of a cloud in that weird sky. My brain hurt. It was not much, but it was all I remembered from my past. The only things I could summon when I thought very hard were some vague shapes, blurry and fragile, but full of meaning. I wanted to reach out to them, could almost feel it, but they were too far away, and I could not grasp it. Sometimes the shapes were combined with feelings, or scents and noises. The only thing I could get were shards of memories. A week before, there was a giant beetle that I could see roaming through the grass. It was so big it looked like the size of a horse. Its shell was almost the blue color of the grass, some parts shining like polished stone, and other parts were covered in a white sand-like substance. Suddenly, as I watched it push through the blades, there was a feeling of nostalgia, and I remembered someone asking me, "Why do you love beetles so much?" I did not know who asked me this, but it gave me such a nice warm feeling. The voice was soft, amused, and valuable to me. I am certain I miss her. Chapter 5. I almost saw them again. Not the woman in the painting or the green-clothed Armenian. The woman had not turned up for 14 days. A bit longer than normal, but I was not anxious. Time seemed to fold oddly here, and it would be even weirder for a painted person. And I had no clue about the Armenian. Because there was nothing to do, I was wandering the halls again. I planned on looking for those little men in the little time I had. Maybe they could help me clean up the place if I knew of what they wanted as pay. The wind was howling extra fiercely that day. It almost sounded like a woman was talking into the wind. The sound that came through the howling was mournful. Long vowels that almost formed words if I listened for too long. I was looking where the wind came from. I figured another window had broken again. Another thing I wanted those Armenian to fix. This whole building was showing cracks and holes. It was like they magically appeared if I did not look. I should not complain too much, though. Those little things gave me something new to discover and something to do with the times I was not watching the painting. Just as often, I would find materials to repair it, and I learned a lot making these little repairs. It was fun. The few windows I came across were often broken in one way or another. No matter how often I repaired them, the glass would be broken or the wooden frame was cracked, and the next time I would see the window, it was whole again, like nothing was wrong with them in the first place. Would that be the work of those Armenian? But the most important thing about the broken windows that I looked forward to was the opportunity to watch outside. Instead of trying to guess what was on the other side of the frosted glass, I could see what was really there. I once saw something red in between the blue grass. It was so exciting. My heart leapt. I thought I might see the face of the person who was restocking that awful food, walking home from the building. However, when they came into full view, it was nothing more than a white and red bird, yelling their ass off to reach a possible mate. Its voice was sharp and lonely. I watched it for a long time, until it vanished beyond the hill, and the silence closed in again. This time I could not find a broken window during my rounds. In the small amount of time I had to walk around, the only window I found was fine. I turned around to get back to the room with the painting when I saw it. A glimpse of a red robe. The hem disappeared around the dark corner of the far hall. My heart ached. I got a lump in my throat and swallowed hard. Before I could catch myself, I called out to them. A raspy, low sound came out of my mouth. My voice was gone. I tried to clear my throat, which hurt with every sound I tried to make. I tried to call out again, but it felt like the words were stuck, frozen in my throat in the salt crystals. My throat burned, and I had to cough. The red-robed figure was long gone. No sound came from my lips, and breathing was difficult. I had not heard my voice for a long time. I need to start talking to myself. I decided a million things I would say during the walk back. She still had not returned, and I was getting more restless. I had started to count the seconds out loud to get my voice started up again and keep it from dying entirely. It hurt to speak. The salt never let the pain heal. My tongue felt raw, and my lips cracked with every word. At first, I tried to keep up a steady pace, pay attention to how fast I would count. Without a clock, I had no idea whether or not I was counting fast enough or too fast. How was time measured here? Was time running normally? I was not wearing a watch. Did I ever wear a watch? The thought unsettled me, so I made a rule. I decided to count to 3,000. When I reached it or lost count, I would go back to the room, check to see if she was there, and start over with counting. After a while, I got quite good at keeping count. At first, the use of my voice was hard, and my coughing kept messing up my count. But my voice grew steadier, though I was still hoarse, and the fact of counting filled the halls and my head. Walking around, I would count to 3,000, and when I reached it, I would take the shortest route back to check the painting. It had been a long time since I saw a glimpse of her. One time I thought I saw a shadow, a new shadow that could have been an arm, but the dark shape moved away as soon as I blinked, and she had not returned yet. Since the counting gave me a frame on how long I actually had left, the rest of the building unfolded like a maze of soot and sods. Still, there was not much to see. I had now found a total of 4 windows, the only bright spots within the darkness. The last window I found was broken again. I looked around to see if I could repair it, but no luck with any spare cloth or pieces of wood. The room itself was unusually clean. When I got back and checked the painting, I went to the resting room to get some food. I felt more tired after all the walking. A letter had appeared on the table near the window. Dear Maria, as we are praying for your success, we noticed you have not notified us about your findings for over a day. Is there anything we can give you to help you in your struggle? A day? She had been gone for weeks. I shook my head and grabbed a new piece of paper. I wrote, "Hello, can I have some stuff to repair the window? The wind is howling too loud and it gives me something to do. And can you give me something without salt? Fresh water or unaltered juice would be an improvement. Thank you." I put a last flourish on my chicken scratching, and as I finished the letter, my hand touched something. I looked up. A small black doll sat on the table. It had beady black eyes, the biggest red-lipped mouth the maker could put on it, and a hemp body that could barely carry the head. I picked it up. It was almost cute, I thought. The lips were soft, almost warm to the touch, and when I pressed them lightly, they seemed to move. I played with it for a moment, but suddenly felt a sharp pain in my finger. I pulled my hand back. I took a better look, and a drop of blood was hanging from the tip of my finger. Only for a moment, because when I blinked, the drop was gone. Just a faint warmth where the doll had touched me. Maybe the fabric of the head caught it. I turned it over, searching for a pen or a splinter, but found nothing. I put the doll away and forgot about it for a couple of days. Only when I went back to the resting room to get some of the awful food I remembered. The letter was still there, but the doll was not. I had not found it again. I got back to the room with the painting, and I glanced at the painting. I really hoped she would return soon. Chapter 6. I found a silver coin near one of the windows. It was half buried under a veil of dust and glimmered faintly in the soft light from outside. The window itself had cracks, which were thin but deep, like veins in old leaves. The coin looked like it came from ages long ago. It was the first thing not damaged by Tom, and it lay there quietly like a forgotten relic near the windowsill. I wanted to pick it up, but before my fingers could close around the silver, a wind swept up. However, it did not whistle or blow in from the opening. This time, the wind went outside and it sucked the coin through the little hole in the glass, like it was hungry for the silver. The silver fell down into the blue long stalks that covered the ground. It was swallowed up by the world outside. I sighed with a bit of melancholy in my chest. It would have been something new. I was so curious about what kind of coin it was. I had not seen any coins in this building before, and I did not even know where I was exactly. That coin could have told me more about this part of the world that seemed forgotten by the outside. And outside I never seemed to find. Had the coin come from a king's pocket, or from the furthest corners of the forgotten seas? Under the dust, its shape was so worn by time that I could barely make out its edges. I had lost count, and I had to get back to the room with the painting. I turned around, prepared to start from zero again. I stepped on something, and I heard a crack. It was a sharp and brittle sound in the quiet of the room. I closed my eyes. That was the fourth clay pipe I had broken under my foot. Those Armenians need to keep their stuff off the floor, I swore quietly under my breath. I went first to the resting room and grabbed some cheese that looked like it sat untouched for ages, even when it was refreshed a couple days ago. I brought it to the place I had stepped on the tiny pipe. The cheese, rough and crumbly, tasting of salt and decay, was the only offering I had for them. The Armenian seemed to take a strange liking to it. I had learned by some trial and error that they would leave me alone if I gave them that awful food. Otherwise, they would make a hell of a noise. The sound of shrill ringing bells and unseen hands throwing things on the ground. After the noise, there was always the unsettling sound of tiny feet scurrying across the floor. I never saw them doing it. They walked in the dark, and considering their small pipes, they must be very small too. They left me little scraps of paper with writing so small and scraggly I had to decipher the letters, only to find out they wrote rude messages and cursed me, demanding I had to pay or they would curdle my milk overnight, or your steps will be led astray by unseen hands. The last one actually happened to me. I thought it was not possible to get lost in the halls. that I walked through so many times, but after I broke my second pipe and did not give them anything, I found myself in unfamiliar territory. With a new window, the glass non-existent. Outside, the blue grass was taken away, and I could see a stream softly flowing to a place I did not know. The water reached the outer stones of the building. I could see fish swimming in the clear, orange-tinted stream. I heard giggling behind me and a door slamming shut. They left me in that room for a full week, all the while making noises and shouting with their shrill voices. When I finally managed to open the door, the halls looked unfamiliar, and I had to take almost a full day with a low-burning candle to get back to the resting room. The room was a mess. The bottles of juice were broken, the bread was crumbled over the floor, and the cheese looked like it had been devoured by dozens of rats. Zawachi advised me to be more careful next time. The only thing I had was the food and drink, so I gave it to them when I broke the next clay pipe. Only one scrap piece of paper was left by the table. Next time, we need more, it said. A piece of the cheese they liked the most. There was no appetite for the juice, so I just give them food any time they should leave those stupid pipes on the ground, and I happened to break them by accident. After leaving the cheese on the floor, I went back to work. I went back to the windowless room where the painting would be waiting for me, and I hoped the woman was back. Something had changed. There was another woman in the painting. The woman in the green dress was nowhere to be found. I never found her again. Instead, the window showed a dark sea, withdrawn to its lowest tide. A green dress, torn and soaked by the salty waters, clung to a light-colored rock that stuck out of the waters. Instead of the familiar face, there was now another. She had blue hair, and her skin was pale as the moon, so white it seemed to glow against the starkness of the ocean behind her. Her eyes were wide, unblinking, as though she could see straight through me, could reach into the depths of my soul, pulling at it with invisible threads. Her lips were parted, as if she wanted to talk to me. All of a sudden, a song started to play. It was far away, like it came from the other side of the building. I could hear trumpets, drums, flutes. It was a cheery tune, ironically cheery for the predicament I was in. I watched the lady while a voice began to sing. Underneath the green sky, in the grass of blue, I followed my destiny right back here to you. And where the path may take us, nobody has a clue. But I am here to sing happily to you. The light that shines brightly over the mountains cold whispers very softly of all the stories that are told, where others have gone before, from young to very old. They have gone their way, and I too have to be this bold. Underneath the green sky, in the grass of blue, I followed my destiny right back here to you. And where the path may take us, nobody has a clue. But I am here to sing happily to you. As long as you're with me, we are on our merry way. I truly hope that you are with me here to stay. And when you need to go, please don't go too far astray. I will be here waiting until the very day that underneath the green sky, in the grass of blue, you come right back to me, for I will find you. And what the future brings us, nobody has a clue, but I am here to sing happily to you. Yes, I am here to sing happily to you. She looked down on me, trying to reach my soul through my eyes. Some stories don't ask to be remembered. They wait. If you're still here, it's already too late. This has been Diamonds After Dark. See you next time.